Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. Going to have a look at the weather next week, 10 days for today's video. This takes us to around the 29th of December, so we go beyond Christmas up towards the new year with today's video update. I also have a look at CFS V2 for next month, so that takes us pretty much through to the latter stages of January, the first month of the new year. Now, I'm not sure we've got the weather for Christmas really sorted out yet, so we did the 22nd, 23rd Christmas update last night. And I thought we got the pattern pretty much sorted, but there has been a few changes with the models overnight, and I'll tell you everything that's going on at the moment. Basically, the front that was due to push across the country quite quickly on Christmas Eve and introducing a colder, sort of showery, bright, breezy day for Christmas Day. That is being delayed, and it's sort of dawdling as it tries to get across the country Christmas Eve to Christmas Day, which the upshot means probably we have rain around on Christmas Day, and for the southern end it's probably a milder day than anticipated. For the north it could be quite cold, and there's a bit of a boundary between the two that might do something a little bit wintry actually on Christmas Day. And then Boxing Day, so that was looking very stormy on recent model runs. There is still the possibility that we might have a real storm on Boxing Day, but the two main models, the E72F and the GFS, looks like they're beginning to just downgrade that a little bit and possibly take it on a slightly different track. So I'm going to have to talk you through everything that's going on for Christmas, but I don't think we have the pattern completely sorted out yet, and we're not that many days away from it, but it has been quite significant sort of changes overnight, albeit not to the overall scenario, which does look changeable for Christmas, but for the detail through this period. So I'll talk you through that in a second. As I say, we're also going to have a look at CFS V2 for the next month. Before I get on with that, just say that Christmas shop is still open, so you've just about still got time to do your Christmas shopping at Amazon and get it out to you. I'll carry on plugging this until tomorrow. I think we'll give up on it, but you do still have time to get Christmas presents too. So if you've got any Christmas shop to do at Amazon between now and Christmas, click the green button that says Gaz Christmas Shop. It takes you through to our Christmas shop page, and from there go through the Amazon banners, do your Christmas shopping at Amazon, because you've gone from Gaz Service to Amazon. We get a ready fee on things that you're buying. Big thank you to everybody for doing that again. So we're going to start off having a look at the current weather. Got a bit of a north-south split today. It's much milder now up in the north. This is from the weatheroutlook.com, and it's the latest temperature observations. So you can see that for Scotland and Northern Ireland, we've got temperatures going up to 10, 11, 12 degrees. Won't be at all surprised if those temperatures lift up a bit more than that in the next hour or two, possibly up to 13, maybe 14 degrees, 57 Fahrenheit somewhere across the northern Britain today. But going southwards, it's much colder down across England and Wales. So, for example, through much of the Midlands, we're just at sort of 3 to 5 degrees. Maximum seems to be around 7 degrees, although it is a little bit milder across western parts of Wales and southwest England. The mild air is infiltrating there. The cold weather that we've had for much of the first half of December is clinging on for dear life in the southeast, but it's on its way out, and this is how the temperatures are forecast for tomorrow from the GFS, well, widely then up into double figures, even across southern and eastern parts of the country. We're up to 10, 11, 12 degrees as that milder push of air gets across. We've also lost a lot of the fog as well. A little bit unexpectedly. We was expecting the fog to cling on with these colder temperatures for much of the day, but that luckily has gone quite quickly through many places. May see a return of the fog though later on in the week, Friday and into Saturday. These are the GFS surface temperatures and precipitation ensembles for Glasgow today. So we're going to have a look at surface temperatures first of all. That's 10 degrees just there. That's freezing just there. We've got plus 20, which we're not going to get to in December, or very rarely will we reach 20 degrees in December, and that's minus 10 down there, which of course we can get to if the air is cold enough. So this is how the temperature is currently holding up at Glasgow at the moment, at around 10 degrees. We do a little bit of a drop with the temperature in the next couple of days, and then lift it back up again as we head towards Christmas. Date's on the bottom of the chart, by the way, so that's Christmas Day just there. So overall, quite mild in the next few days, but a little bit of a coldest interlude towards the end of this week, just briefly. After Christmas, though, you'll notice there is quite clearly a drop in the temperature taking place for northern parts of the country. As I say, this is beyond somewhat in Glasgow, up in Scotland. And for a time, through between Christmas and New Year, in Glasgow anyway, we are struggling to get those temperatures much above freezing, both by day and by night. So northern Britain is going to turn quite a lot colder, I think, after Christmas, as the jet stream begins to slink its way southwards. Also a lot of precipitation. So fairly dry conditions really for northern Britain over the next few days. But from around Christmas Eve onwards, it's turning much wetter, and then we've got these big precipitation spikes here at the Christmas period, and after Christmas, heading up towards New Year. That's January the 1st. Just there. So it does look as though things will be turning increasingly unsettled, but also quite cold as we get through sort of to the final days of the year. So we're talking about really Christmas and after Christmas. That northern Britain looks like it's turning quite cold, going on to the cold side of the jet stream, possibly having some colder weather too. This is the chart for Glasgow that's indicating snow depth. So we've got no real problems with snow at all over the next few days going up towards Christmas Eve. But then you see from around Christmas Day onwards, we are beginning to find some of these ensemble members are producing snow. So we've got quite a big one there that's producing some sort of snow event, taking us up to around 12 centimetres of snow sometime around Boxing Day. That's an outlier, though. It's more or less on its own. But you see, as we go through this Christmas to New Year period, actually Glasgow is getting more of these snow spikes appearing. So by the time you get through to around the 28th, 29th, it's around 10 days away, quite a long way off. But by around then, I think the majority of these ensemble members are producing at least the chance of some snow across northern Britain. So it's quite interesting that although it did appear a few days ago that we would go very mild for this sort of final week of December, actually, and I talked about this in the video yesterday, actually it could turn out that as the jet stream goes further southwards again between Christmas and New Year, we certainly for northern Britain, we may have some wintry potential. Now this is for London, again surface temperature and precipitation down in London. Again, it's the same idea, 10 degrees is just there, freezing is there, minus 10 is down there. And you'll notice that going through to the Christmas period, there is not as much of a drop in temperature for London as we saw for Glasgow. So we've got temperatures starting off quite chilly today, but they do get to around 10 degrees from tomorrow, and then generally mild going up towards Christmas. Again, that's Christmas Day just there. Now, after Christmas, we do have a drop in temperature appearing. So the temperatures are lowering as we go after Christmas and up towards New Year in London, probably going down to around 5 or 6 degrees, so probably going down to about average. And there are some ensemble members that are producing frosty nights as well. But we don't see the temperatures going as cold down in London as we see up in Glasgow between Christmas and New Year. In terms of precipitation, again, lots of dry weather coming up until Christmas, and then from Christmas onwards, it does turn more unsettled. We have more precipitation spikes. But what you have to say with that is not as many, probably, as we were seeing on the ensembles yesterday, and it could be that the GFS is in the process at the moment of sort of downgrading this very wet and stormy weather that was appearing between Christmas and New Year. That may be happening because the jet stream is being trended south, so it's possible that some of that stormy weather is being pushed down to the south. So let's have a look at the snow row for London as well, and nowhere near as dramatic. So yes, there are a few ensemble members that are showing the chance of some snow between Christmas and New Year. Again, that's around Christmas Day just there. This is New Year's Day just here. There are some ensemble members, particularly around the 28th to the 30th, this period here, that are showing the risk of some snowfalls during Christmas and New Year, but nowhere near as many as we see for the Glasgow snow depth ensemble. So it does look as though Northern Britain could well have some wintry weather between Christmas and New Year. I'm not so sure down in the south, however, on there. And I don't think that it's the jet stream is actually being trended to our south, because if that was happening, you would expect the risk of snow to be down in some part of the country as well as in the north. So it looks like actually the jet stream is trending through the country. So to the north of it, that's where you've got risk of snow. So that's for Northern Britain. And to the south of the jet stream, we're still on the mild side of the jet there. And so you would have a lower risk of wintry conditions. So the jet stream may be pushing actually through the country, perhaps, as we go through that Christmas to New Year week. But it's an ever-changing and ever-evolving situation. Certainly for the north, it does look as though we have some wintry potential here between Christmas and New Year. This temperature anomaly for the next week, that's holding up okay. It's going from the 19th, 27th of December. It's coming out significantly warmer than average now. Most parts of Europe coming out very warm, particularly northern Scandinavia, where we're actually seeing temperature anomalies there around 10 degrees above average. For the UK and Ireland, we're talking about temperature anomalies nearer to sort of 4 to 6 degrees above average, which is very much significantly warmer than average. If we're right, and it's going to start getting colder again for the north anyway, between Christmas and New Year, expect to see these charts trending colder over the coming days. Precipitation anomalies look like this from the 19th to 27th of December. England and Wales still coming out drier than average. Scotland and Northern Ireland now starting to trend wetter than average. These could trend wetter still over the next few days. We'll be keeping an eye on them through the rest of the week. Now, this is the midnight run of the GFS. I just want to show you how things are changing around this Christmas period. So this is the midnight run of the GFS. Starting on Saturday, we're under a ridge of high pressure on Saturday, bringing a lot of dry weather, maybe for England and Wales anyway, a return of fog as well. By Sunday, Christmas Eve, that low pressure, that high pressure I should say, is slipping south into France. Low pressure starting to develop into the north and to the west, so a weather front's beginning to bring cloud and rain into Scotland and Northern Ireland on Christmas Eve. Further south, though, it's very mild and mainly dry. Now, as we go through to Christmas Day, now remember when we did last night's 23rd Christmas update, by the end of Christmas Eve, we were supposed to be pushing that front away and introducing a colder, more showery northwesterly flow. Now that front is dawdling, so this is midnight on Christmas Day, when we've still got the front up here in the north and the west. It's in that sort of position, which means that for England and Wales, you get a mostly dry day on Christmas Eve and into Christmas Day as well, with the wet weather up in the north and in the west too. Now, this takes us through to Boxing Day, when we find that we've finally pushed that front through during the course of Christmas Day. Probably gives quite a wet day to England and Wales, unfortunately, with a colder, brighter day up in the north and the west. By Boxing Day, here comes our deep area of low pressure, and this run, the midnight run of the GFS, did produce a real storm again for Boxing Day. So we've got severe gales sweeping across the country on Boxing Day into 26th of December. Severe gales sweeping across the country with bouts of heavy rain as well. Very tight packed ice bars, but focus particularly for Ireland, England and Wales for severe gales. Not as windy under the centre of the low pressure for Scotland, but obviously the position of that low pressure centre could change. Beyond Boxing Day, the midnight run of the GFS then turn the winds into the north, which would bring quite cold and showery conditions back across the country, but not for long, because by day 10, which is Friday 29th of December, it's going very stormy. Heavy rain, gale force winds sweeping back in from off the Atlantic. That was the midnight run of the GFS. This is the very latest run of the GFS. It's the 6 o'clock run. Again, we're starting off on Saturday with a ridge of high pressure across the country. Again, that could be bringing foggy conditions back to southern parts of the country at the end of the week. This is Christmas Eve. Again, only slowly now starting to push this weather front in across the country. This is Christmas Day, 6 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Day. By this point yesterday, the models were showing that this front would be out of the way, and we'd have a sort of sunny but a little bit showery Christmas Day and quite chilly too. Now we are delaying this front pushing across the country, so it's still there at 6 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Day, which leaves England and Wales with these very mild southerly winds. Colder air is digging in towards the north though, and this front does push across the country during the course of Christmas Day. Only slowly though, and cold air is on its northern edge, and it might be that if the cold air was to undercut, there's a possibility it could turn some of the precipitation wintry, and that would be particularly for parts of Scotland, Northern Ireland, possibly Northern England and North Wales during the course of Christmas Day. But the other side of that, flip side, is that the southern and eastern parts of the country, so sort of the Midlands, central, southern, southeast, you could actually have quite a wet but very mild Christmas Day based on what the models are showing today. So we still don't have Christmas Day's weather completely pinned down. Then we go through to Boxing Day, and this is the area of low pressure that the midnight run of the GFS was developing into that storm on Boxing Day. That's just to our west at 6 o'clock in the morning on Boxing Day. And this one then starts to slip down to our south, quite interestingly. So it isn't whipped up into that major storm. It is bringing quite a wet and windy spell of weather, don't get me wrong. It is, it's not very pleasant Boxing Day, but it's nowhere near as stormy as the GFS midnight run was showing. And we keep this area of low pressure generally sitting to our south and to our southwest as well during the course of Boxing Day into 27th of December. Would be wet and windy, but it's nothing that would be nothing to be overly alarmed about. Whereas the midnight run of GFS did look quite alarming in terms of its very stormy weather that it's predicting for Boxing Day. Notice heights rising a little bit over Greenland, so I assume that's what's pushing this area of low pressure more south, trending it south compared to earlier GFS runs. But as we go beyond Christmas, it stays very unsettled, so areas of low pressure are moving in. The jet stream with this, I can show you where the jet stream is by day 10. The jet stream is down there, so it's generally to our south. We're generally on the cold side of the jet, although some of the southwest parts of the country is still more or less in the jet stream. But certainly for northern Britain, you are on the cold side of the jet stream, so that's why the risk of snow is growing for northern Britain between Christmas and New Year as you go on to the cold side of the jet stream. This is how the ECWF is seeing things. So for Saturday, still under that ridge, mostly dry, fairly mild. Could be quite a bit of fog. This is how things are looking by midnight on Christmas Day with the ECWF. Again, the weather front is around here, so again, there is a delay in getting that weather front down across the country. By Boxing Day, we find that the weather front is through here, so it still hasn't cleared the country, even at midnight on Christmas night to Boxing Day. The weather front is still through there, wet on that side of the front, of course, and then turning colder on this side of the front, which may lead to the chance of something a bit wintry happening through this central swathe of the country. And purely because the front is dawdling so much and struggling to get across the country, it means that the cold air has a chance on the northern side of that front to do a little bit of an undercut. And then we go up to 27th. So again, the ECWF doesn't show that storm that the GFS has been going for. And again, we're taking that low pressure down to our south. This is very, very complicated pattern. Real twist is happening here. So instead of having that major storm from Boxing Day, 27th of December, we're taking that low pressure down towards Biscay. Again, probably being caused by heights rising up towards Greenland, which is a little bit of a unexpected development. We wasn't expecting to see that. Trying to get us into a colder situation, actually, by 27th of December. That's how things look on the 28th, with the low pressure sitting across the country. Some cold air is trying to infiltrate into that from the north. And then we go up to day 10, which is Friday 29th of December. And it looks like we're going back towards a more stormier type situation by then. A deep area of low pressure is forming to the south of Greenland. So this is all really quite complicated stuff, but there is a little bit of wind shear potential for Christmas. This is a precipitation type forecast based on the latest run of the GFS. This is for midnight on Christmas Eve, first of all. So starting off wet in the north and the west. Look how slow we are to push this front south. So we're going through Christmas Eve, and we've got to 9 o'clock in the evening. And the front is still really just sitting across Scotland and Northern Ireland. England and Wales has a dry day and very mild day on Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, so this is by midday on Christmas Day, where that front is still really to the north and the west. It's still across Scotland and Northern Ireland. England and Wales still mostly dry. The front does start to move on Christmas Day afternoon into Christmas evening, begin to push southwards in towards North Wales and Northern England. Notice a few white areas showing up here. That's rain beginning to turn to snow across northern England as the cold air starts to dig in from the northern side. And we go into Christmas night. So this is midnight Christmas night to Boxing Day. And there's snow being forecast here for parts of Wales and also for northern England too. Generally just showery rain across England and Wales. And then finally, that front never really does make it down into the southeast, actually. It just clears away to the northeast of England. And then here comes the rain associated with the area of low pressure for Boxing Day. But there is a little bit of wintry potential showing up there for parts of Wales and northern England, in particular, later on Christmas Day. Ever-changing situation, and we'll just have to keep an eye on it and see how it transpires. And also, of course, the risk of that Boxing Day storm. Finally, just want to show you the CFS V2 for the next month. So these are 500 bit of our heights broken down into week periods. The first week period taking us from the 19th to the 25th of December. The coming week finds that overall we have high pressure dominating around the UK, low pressure up to the northwest. We're on the mild side of the jet stream, so this is a dry but mild period. Bear in mind, by the time you get through to Christmas, it is turning more unsettled. This is how the week from the 26th of December, Boxing Day, to New Year's Day is looking. Low pressure is dominating there. High pressure pulling out into Central Atlantic, bringing with flow and a jet stream through like that. We're aligning the jet northwest to southeast, so not overly mild, but very unsettled. Then we go through to week 3, which is the 2nd to the 8th of January, parking a trough of low pressure over top of the country, so clearly that's going to be unsettled, and going on to the cold side of the jet. The jet is doing something like that, so that has a little bit of wintry potential in there. The main thing though is that it's very unsettled. And then we go through to week 4, which is the 9th to the 15th of January. So below average heights then are down to our south-southwest. Notice we're raising heights across Scandinavia and backing it up towards the Arctic. We're on the cold side of the jet stream. We're doing something like that with flow and with the jet. And there would be the potential anyway to start to try and drag the air in from the east as those heights rise up across Scandinavia. That could be increasingly cold and wintry there through the second week of January. Temperature anomalies look like this. The coming week up to Christmas Day is significantly milder than average. Week 2 is also milder than average from 26th of December to the 1st of January. But it's less so than week 1. Notice America really being plunged into the freezer here through this week, final week of December. severely cold conditions and going a very, very long way southwards as well. We've got temperature anomalies below 4 degrees below average, going right way down into those southern states of America. Very cold there, and that continues into week 3, interestingly, the 2nd to the 8th of January. Also very, very cold for much of the populated areas of the United States and Canada. Over in the UK, the temperature anomaly is cooling, so we're down to average there from the 2nd to the 8th of January, and as I say, probably a little bit of wintry potential in with that as well. And then we go through to the 9th to the 15th of January, where the CFS is building that area of high pressure over Scandinavia. We're finding that it's turning a little bit colder than average now. So second week of January probably sees winter coming back a little bit. And at the same time, over in America, we're losing those very intense cold anomalies from sort of central and eastern parts of America. Still a little bit colder than average, but nowhere near as much as it is through the first week of January. So it may be that as the cold sort of relaxes in the north and the east of America, it comes back in the northwest of Europe. That's all a very long way off, and it's very speculative. I think the main thing to take from this video is that we still don't really have the weather for Christmas sorted out yet. It is overall going to be a changeable Christmas, but how that plays out in terms of the detail for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day and Boxing Day is still very much up in the air. So at the moment it looks like England and Wales probably get away with a dry and very mild Christmas Eve. Could be a bit wet Scotland, Northern Ireland. Christmas Day, unfortunately, we may well have lost our chance of a nice, bright, breezy, rather showery and quite cold Christmas Day. And for the south, it could be a very mild Christmas Day and probably later on a little bit wet. For the north, it probably starts off mild and wet but becomes colder, and the transition might do something wintry across northern England. And then Boxing Day, do we get that Boxing Day storm, or do we just get a traditional spell of wet and windy weather? It's all still to be determined. So you'll have to just keep checking back for more. We're going to do a 29th, 24th Christmas update tomorrow. So, at 26 minutes, it's been a very extended update, but I wanted to bring you up to date with all the chopping and changing that's been going on with these model runs for Christmas. With that said, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.